David Frohnmeyer was born and raised in Medford. His father, a well-known attorney, his mother, a teacher and civic leader. His values were forged at an early age.
I had an idyllic childhood. I was fortunate to have two strong, involved parents, siblings whom I loved and was very close to, and an enduring sense of place. It was just a piece of our lives that you ought to go do something and help to serve the community.
When Dave first ran for the legislature, he was elected and re-elected, and without question, in my 50 years in that building, if you asked me to name the 20 finest legislators that I have seen serve in that period of time, he would undoubtedly be on that list.
David raised the level of debate in the legislature, which is always good. People that are articulate and able to sway and convince their colleagues, and he was superior at that.
He was perfectly suited to be Attorney General. He regarded the office as the intersection of law and public policy.
He argued 7 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court and won 6 of them. No other Attorney General had that kind of win-loss record in the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that's a mark that few will equal or surpass.
That was a great thrill, obviously, one of the great thrills of my life, to be representing not just 1% of the population of the United States, but really speaking, we hope, for the principles of good government for all the rest of the people of this country. I will tell you, I never expected to be a university president, but I found that being part of a university that's as dynamic, as beautiful, as much a key to the future as anything I can imagine, that's been enormously fulfilling to see if we can make that even better.
Good evening. We have a wonderful night for you. I am really pleased and honored to be here with the woman who, her name is Marla Ray, and you can't say Marla, and you can't say Ray, you have to say Marla Ray. And we're gonna play the video again, because we're gonna honor a statesman, the 2000, Marla, you're photobombing me? We're gonna, and then Marla's gonna talk about her good friend and colleague, Dave Frohnmeyer. So please, if it's possible, video crew, could we play the 2006 Statesman video of Dave Frohnmeyer, and then we'll hear from the one and only Marla Ray.
David Frohnmeyer was born and raised in Medford. His father, a well-known attorney, his mother, a teacher and civic leader. His values were forged at an early age.
I had an idyllic childhood. I was fortunate to have two strong, involved parents, siblings whom I loved and was very close to, and an enduring sense of place. It was just a piece of our lives that you ought to go do something and help to serve the community.
When Dave first ran for the legislature, he was elected and re-elected, and without question, in my 50 years in that building, if you asked me to name the 20 finest legislators that I have seen serve in that period of time, he would undoubtedly be on that list.
David raised the level of debate in the legislature, which is always good. People that are articulate and able to sway and convince their colleagues, and he was superior at that.
He was perfectly suited to be Attorney General. He regarded the office as the intersection of law and public policy.
He argued 7 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court and won 6 of them. No other Attorney General had that kind of win-loss record in the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that's a mark that few will equal or surpass.
That was a great thrill, obviously, one of the great thrills of my life, to be representing not just 1% of the population of the United States, but really speaking, we hope, for the principles of good government for all the rest of the people of this country. I will tell you, I never expected to be a university president, but I found that being part of a university that's as dynamic, as beautiful, as much a key to the future as anything I can imagine, that's been enormously fulfilling to see if we can make that even better.
This is such an honor for me that I shaved my legs and put on pantyhose for this evening. Much has been said and written about Dave Frohnmayer since his death on March 10th of this year. Tributes, cards, calls by the hundreds poured into the Frohnmayer home. Newspaper editorials followed. Each extolled the greatness and the goodness of one of Oregon's native sons. Each card, editorial, or phone call to Lynn and the children was an overwhelming display of affection, respect, and gratitude to an individual who gave so much to our great state. I had the honor of having a front row seat in Frohnmayer family events since 1980. Some of you may have heard this before because I've said it on several occasions, but I carried Dave Frohnmayer longer than his mama. The video we just saw captured just a small glimpse of Dave and his many, many accomplishments, both in his personal life and his professional career. He was the fuzzy-headed liberal law professor from Eugene who was elected to the House of Representatives in 1974 as a Republican in the Watergate era. He was a three-term Attorney General, winning one of those statewide races as both the Republican and Democratic nominee. He was known, there was this organization called NAG, National Association of Attorneys General. Some of us that were a little bit more irreverent called it the National Association of Aspiring Governors. But Dave was regarded throughout that organization as having created what was then regarded as the best Department of Justice in the country. His 15 years as president of the University of Oregon, where he raised over $1 billion and created countless new academic programs, fellowships, and scholarships, and Dave was indeed the big duck. Had an opportunity to visit with Tim Boyle a little bit earlier this evening, and I told him I was down at Dave's law office after Dave's death, and his office was just shitty. It was a mess. And I found the notes, handwritten notes that Dave wrote following his conversations with Tim Boyle, with Phil Knight, with Pat Kilkenny, with Chuck Lillis, with many others about what they thought about an independent governance system for the University of Oregon. And I made sure that those handwritten notes to herald that major event in Oregon got to the archives. But he was a big duck. He was also a crappy dresser. He smoked secretly cheap stinky Grenadier Green cigars. And in the early days as Attorney General, he actually drove an old powder blue Volkswagen Rabbit to work up and down the freeway. He was a Rhodes Scholar who later became a fellow in the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He was a dorky member of the Medford High School marching band. He was humble, smart beyond measure, compassionate, devoted father, and a devoted husband. In spite of his pedigree and all of his accomplishments, and he treasured being designated as OBA's Statesman of the Year, co-recipient with Margaret Carter. In spite of all of those, he'd introduce himself simply as, "I'm just Dave." He could have lived and worked anywhere throughout this country, and we are so very fortunate that he chose early on to return to his native roots. Like I said, much has been written and said about Dave since he died, but I think the best I've seen was what Dave himself said. "I grew up with a very real sense that an individual can make a difference, and that if you can, you should." Dave Frohnmayer could, and he did. Thank you very much. On behalf of the board, the members, and the staff of the Oregon Business Association, we want to warmly welcome the elected officials, colleagues, and friends here from Douglas County. Wherever you live, work, or play, regardless of your political affiliation, if any, we were all rocked to our core by the tragedy and profound senselessness actions that struck our grand slice of America here in Oregon just 11 days ago. If you are able, please stand and join me in a moment of silence to remember and honor the victims, survivors, families, friends, and our neighbors in Oregon's beloved Umpqua Valley. Please be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla Ray. I think we will now, the 2016 Secretary Joel's keynote speaker will be Marla Ray at the Statesman Dinner next year. No script, just maybe a little gin and Marla and a microphone. We told her, like, just Marla, whatever you want to say, please do it. Well, and thank you for coming to the 2015 Statesman Dinner. Tonight is a night that is a real honor for us to honor our own statesman from Oregon, our senior senator. We get to hear from a national leader with roots right here in the Pacific Northwest, and you get to see 700 of your closest friends and sometimes frenemies all in one place. Secretary Joel, welcome back to the Pacific Northwest. We are ecstatic to have you with us tonight. we think at least, Secretary Joel is the CEO and the member of the cabinet that fits us here the best, coming from REI and a private sector background and being a cabinet secretary. And the line to get into that enormous green room was very long. So I know many folks are very excited to hear your remarks this evening. And Secretary Joel, we heard from a good friend that's pretty high up in the White House that said, far and away, the funniest member of the president's cabinet is the one, Sally Joel, who's coming to Oregon. So I know, the bar, there we go. Also in our program tonight is our congressional delegation. Welcome home to our members of Congress. I know Representative Schrader, I think you were with Donald Trump this morning in New Hampshire, is that correct? And do you have a speaker of your house yet for our members of the House? Thank you to Representative Blumenauer, to Representative Bonamici, and Schrader. I know Schrader has flown all day from New Hampshire to get back here, and his plane just landed. So thank you for coming, and we'll have more program with them here in a moment. Nike is our sponsor this evening. Thank you, Nike. We want to thank AT&T and Moda for sponsoring the pre-reception and the videos, many videos tonight. And we just received an offer just a few minutes ago from a very, very new business here in Oregon. You may have seen it on Grand Avenue coming in. It's extremely new. It's Oregon's finest cannabis. And so they would like to sponsor our after party this evening. And again, it is literally just across the street, so our after party sponsors. Secretary Joel, you are now back in the Northwest. The only other two things I really want to do is I want to thank Patty and Gina and the team at OBA. Anytime you put together an event like this, the details are immense, and thank you. They do a lot of work. And then finally, our remarkable team here at the Oregon Convention Center who produce the videos, who serve us dinner, and Freddie, I don't know if this has become somewhat of a tradition. Freddie always closes this opening. Freddie, if you're here, please come up as our favorite friend at the Convention Center to welcome the crowd. Every time I come in here, Freddie grabs me and says, here he comes, our favorite friend at the Statesman Dinner, Freddie, who grabs me.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. I just want to welcome all 700 of you. Look at the guys in the black shirts. We're ready to serve. Let's go.
Thank you, Freddie and the team. Before we have dinner, I want to introduce, and we have a short program pre-dinner, and I get to introduce Pat Smith, who's the chair of OBA and the CEO of Unitas Community Credit Union, to the stage. Just last Thursday, Pat received the Lifetime Achievement Award from her colleagues in the credit union industry as one of the remarkable leaders, not just here in Oregon, but nationally on behalf of credit unions. We're really lucky to have Pat leading this organization for the next year. Pat Smith.
I scared him. He said he couldn't see me. That's not the first time I've been told that. Thank you, Ryan. Tonight we celebrate our motto, the balanced voice. The Statesman's Dinner brings together a unique mix of political, business, and community leaders from our state. We have with us tonight quite a list of local, state, and federal elected leaders. So please hold your applause until I have named each group, and you will have an opportunity to recognize the individual groups at that time. We will start with our local elected officials. These are the people who ensure our core services work as they should. Portland Mayor Charlie Hales, Beaverton Mayor Denny Doyle, Wilsonville Mayor Tim Knapp, Portland City Commissioner Steve Novick, Clackamas County Commissioner Jim Bernard, Clackamas County Commissioner Martha Schrader, and Milwaukee City Councilor Wilda Parks. Will our elected local officials please stand? We also welcome this evening the Honorable James Hill, Consul General of Canada, the Honorable Hiroshi Furusawa, Consul General of Japan, Chief Justice of the Oregon Supreme Court, Thomas Balmer, and Labor Commissioner Brad Avakian. Will you please stand? Now to our state senators. We are pleased to have the Senate President, Peter Courtney, you'll recognize him by his blue sneakers this evening, with us. He is Oregon's longest serving Senate President. He is here along with his colleagues this evening, Senate Majority Leader Jenny Burdick, Senator Lee Beyer, Senator Michael DeBrow, Senator Richard Devlin, Senator Mark Hass, Senator Chuck Riley, and also Senator Diane Rosenbaum. We also welcome Washington State Senator Annette Cleveland, who is with us this evening as well. Will our state senators please stand and be recognized? The Speaker of the House, Tina Kotek, is here, as well as the following state representatives: House Majority Leader Jennifer Williamson, Representative Jeff Barker, Representative Deborah Boone, Representative Brian Clem, Representative John Davis, Representative Margaret Doherty, Representative Paul Evans, Representative David Gomberg, Representative Jody Hack, Representative Cedric Hayden, Representative Ken Helm, Representative Val Hoyle, Representative Mark Johnson, Representative Bill Kennemer, Representative Elisa Kenny Geyer, Representative Ann Leniger, hold on, we're not done yet. Representative John Lively, Representative Susan McLean, Representative Caddy McCune, Representative Nancy Nathanson, Representative Rob Nose, Representative Julie Parrish, Representative Jessica Vega Peterson, Representative Dan Rayfield, Representative Tobias Reed, Representative Jeff Reardon, and Representative Sherry Springer. What an impressive group. It looks like we have a quorum of the Assembly. Can't see you out there, but I hope the state representatives have taken a stand for that applause. And now we also have our federal delegation with us as well this evening: U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley, U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer, U.S. Representative Kurt Schrader, and U.S. Representative Susan Bonamici. And speaking of our federal delegation, we've welcomed both U.S. senators and most of our U.S. House members tonight. They are here as our special honorees as well. We are honoring 4 members of Congress with the Lynn Lundquist Leadership Award. Many of us here may think that voting to support trade is a standard operating practice in Oregon. Well, for many members of Congress, that is not true. These individuals have shown an independent streak to take a vote that is very pro-Oregon. Please enjoy a brief video on the importance of trade as OBA board members Julia Bream Edwards of Nike and Sam Tannehill of A to Z Wine Works make their way to the stage to present this year's Lynn Lundquist Leadership Award.
So I'm Chris Sarles, and I'm the President and CEO of Oregon Fruit. Been in business since 1935, family owned, and we bring fruit in from around the valley, and then we make products that are on the grocery store shelves, as well as we provide the fruit for brewing in the industry here in Oregon. In addition, we make products that are used in food service throughout America.
I'm Patty Law. I'm the General Manager at Oregon Fruit Products Company. I've been here since 1979. For me, trade means being able to sell more products throughout the world. And that means that we will have the opportunity to hire more employees, give employees more hours within the company.
I think there's a great opportunity for us to sell product made in America overseas, and we're seeing it right here.
I look at trade as equaling jobs. For us, as we have the ability to have access to markets, that allows us to produce more product, and as we produce more product, that allows us to add jobs. Trade equals a healthy, vibrant Oregon economy.
Trade equals being able to share the great Oregon products we have with the rest of the world.
Thank you, Pat. It was great seeing that video with Chris. Chris used to be in the wine industry. It's a shame to lose him from the industry, but he's in another great one and staying in Oregon, which is fantastic. I hope you all are enjoying the wine tonight. We're at the tail end of Oregon's perhaps largest harvest, and certainly one of its most earliest in the history of the wine industry here. So it's a pretty exciting time for us right now. I've got people at the winery working till about 4 this morning, or tomorrow morning. So what do Oregon's largest winery and a homegrown, iconic Fortune 500 company have in common besides using each other's products? Well, many things. Both were founded by entrepreneurs with a passion for education, innovation, and excellence in product development. We also both compete in the global economy with markets on every continent, which is why we're here tonight together and speaking on behalf of Oregon's businesses, both large and small, that create, design, develop, grow, and market our products, not just in Oregon, but all around the world. Nike started on a handshake between two Oregonians, and A to Z Wine Works was founded by two couples over a dinner table in Dundee.
So we're OBA members and are representing our respective companies here tonight. We're also members of the Oregon Jobs Through Trade Coalition, a coalition of businesses that depend on trade and are building jobs right here in Oregon. The coalition includes businesses like ours, different but yet both iconic businesses here, but others also like Columbia Sportswear, Sokol Blosser, and Oregon Fruit Products. Together, we're telling the story about how trade benefits Oregon. Nike was founded more than 4 decades ago, and our mission is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. In just the last couple of years, Nike's added more than 2,000 new jobs in Oregon, and we're building more than 2 million square feet of new buildings in Beaverton and Washington County. We touch the local economy in a lot of different ways. For example, last year, we booked more than 42,000 hotel nights in Portland, and I think that they drank a little bit of your wine while they were here.
Fantastic.
And our employees took more than 67,000 flights in and out of the Portland airport.
Thanks, Julia. So I and my partners founded A to Z Wine Works in 2002 with the intent of making a world-class Oregon Pinot Noir that was affordable to everyone and represented the essence of Oregon. From a 2,500 case production that first year, we have grown to over 400,000 case production this year with distribution in 50 states and 9 international markets. Our growth over the last 13 years has fueled vineyard development and rural job creation from Ashland to Mosier. Be careful, Julia, we're catching up. 30 more years to go.
Got a ways to go.
I know, an inspiration.
But we'll do our
a
part to
guiding
help
light,
you.
I know. New trade agreements will allow Oregon to continue to grow strong, diverse Oregon economy.
We're delighted tonight to make a special presentation on behalf of the Oregon Business Association. The Oregon Business Association bestows the Lynn Lundquist Leadership Award when we see leadership that's uncommon and deserves recognition and acknowledgement. The late Lynn Lundquist, who many of you knew, was a true Oregon statesman. He was a cattle rancher, an economist, Speaker of the Oregon House, and a founding president of OBA. Lynn's career embodied political courage and the willingness to tackle tough issues because it was the right thing to do for the state.
In Oregon, trade is our lifeblood. We rely on our federal government and its leaders to ensure the free and fair flow of goods in global commerce. For that to happen, we especially rely on our elected leaders in Congress to understand the global economy, support policies that help build middle-class jobs here in America, and support for Oregon businesses to remain competitive at home and abroad. We are lucky in Oregon to have leaders who understand the importance of trade to business of all sizes. Oregon companies that research, design, develop products in Oregon that are sold around the world export about $21 billion in goods annually. In addition, over 6,000 Oregon businesses sell goods overseas. Nearly 90% of those are small and medium-sized businesses like mine.
So tonight, we're honoring 4 members of our congressional delegation who have embodied the Lundquist mantle of political leadership. They've stood for the right thing, not necessarily the easiest thing, on the issue of Oregon's place in the global economy. They ask the tough questions, look at the data, get their elbows out for Oregon workers, and support Oregon companies big and small, rural and urban. Their efforts enable Oregon products to get into the world's food aisles, and I think beverage aisles, into the markets, main streets, and shopping centers.
I'd ask you to please join me, Julia, and the OBA welcoming the 2015 Lynn Lundquist Award winners. Representative Earl Blumenauer. I think you're out there somewhere, Earl. There he is. Representative Kurt Schrader. Representative Suzanne Bonamici. We'd also like to note that Representative Greg Walden is also a recipient, but unfortunately he can't join us tonight. I'd like to thank all of you for your support for Oregon jobs and for supporting the Oregon economy.
Yeah, let's start with the Dean of the Delegation, Congressman Blumenauer.
Well, don't let Peter DeFazio hear you say that.
It's being awarded.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to join with you this evening, the recognition and the observation that you've done here. It's a pleasure to be here with my friend, Senator Wyden, with whom I've worked for over 3 decades. The recognition that we gave to Dave Frohnmeyer, with whom I was privileged to serve in the Oregon legislature back before most of you were born. In fact, I joke a little bit. I don't only have my degrees from Lewis and Clark Law School and undergraduate. I came here with Lewis and Clark. But it's been my privilege to have had an opportunity to work with an amazing assortment of men and women in public service. Tom McCall, Senator Hatfield, my colleagues here today. I appreciate the OBA attempting to keep alive the spirit of Oregon politics that I grew up in. The extent to which we're able to not only model that here in Oregon, but to encourage people to practice it in Washington, D.C., we're all going to be better off.
Donald Trump, by the way, is as bombastic, narcissistic, and as ignorant as he appears on TV. I told him I was coming home to Oregon. He said, geez, he's never been to the Seattle suburbs before. So shows where he goes. Just came from a big No Labels conference in New Hampshire. And I like to think that that movement's a lot about what Oregon's been doing for years, which is civil discourse, agree to disagree, but solve problems like our state legislature does. We're blessed to have Senator Wyden that makes a huge difference every day in Washington, D.C., single-handedly built the transparency into the documents that you're going to be seeing here shortly with the Trans-Pacific Partnership and ultimately TTIP at the end of the day. Very proud of our delegation. Whether you were for or against the trade agreement, I know our delegation worked at it really hard to try and figure out the good, the bad,